The big political dust-up of the day, the Bernie Sanders campaign finds itself locked out of accessing its own gathered voter information after several of its staffers apparently took advantage of a temporary dropping of the firewall protecting the individual campaign's data on the DNC's servers. According to the Washington Post, officials with the Democratic National Committee have accused the presidential campaign of Bernie Sanders of improperly accessing confidential voter information that had been gathered by the rival campaign of Hillary Clinton. Now, this information, to give you a little bit more about the information that was accessed, the DNC maintains the master list of this voter information and then rents that out to the national and state campaigns, which then add their own proprietary information gathered by field workers and volunteers. Firewalls are supposed to prevent campaigns from viewing data gathered by their rivals. Now, the Sanders staffers were allowed to access Hillary Clinton's campaign's data due to a software error. 4 of them looked at Clinton's data, 3 of them at the direction of their boss, Josh Uretsky, who has since been fired and who we will be showing some video of him talking about this in just a little while.
The data was available for 30 minutes. We don't know how long they accessed it for.
Exactly. As a result of that, the Bernie Sanders campaign has now been blocked from accessing not just other campaigns' information, which would be reasonable, but their own information as well. Because it is stored on these DNC servers, even though they paid to gather it, their volunteers gathered it, it is not apparently, according to the DNC and its leader, it is not the Sanders campaign's actual property. And so now being locked out from it.
And they've sued.
Yeah, Bernie Sanders campaign.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let me break this down real quick. So first off, Bernie Sanders' campaign should never have access to Hillary Clinton's campaign's information. Everybody's clear on that.
Yes.
So whose fault that is, we'll get into in a second. Second level of it is, of course they should have access to their own information. That'd be crazy. But that's the state that we're in right now, where they're not even, the DNC is not allowing them access to their own information. Now the question is, should they be allowed to access overall DNC Democratic voter information that is available to everybody? And so Debbie
Much of it was collected by them through their own work.
Yeah. And so Debbie Wasserman Schultz, as the head of the DNC now, is saying, no, you cannot access the general information. You also cannot access your own information that was collected on top of that.
Yeah.
So obviously that's high drama. Now, to me, as to who's at fault here, the staffer who was fired, Uretsky, says, look, we were checking to see if our information was being accessed, and we knew that what we were doing is available to everybody. It's not like we were trying to hide it. If we were trying to hide it, we would have taken,
more precautions.
More precautions to do so. We accessed it in a way that was clear that we were accessing it. So we were just making sure this doesn't happen again, because this happened multiple times.
Yeah.
It happened back in October again. So the first people who should be punished, of course, is NGPVAN, who's the people who are running this for the private company, and that keep lifting the firewalls when they shouldn't lift the firewalls. That allows each campaign to look at each other's private information.
Yeah.
So yeah, if I'm the Sanders campaign, if I'm the Hillary Clinton campaign, I'm super pissed at them. If I'm the DNC, I'm thinking about whether I renew that contract. By the way, there's one other wrinkle to this. The top Hillary Clinton super PAC also has a very large contract with NGPVAN.
NGPVAN, by the way, I mean, couldn't sound more like the North Korean secret police.
That's a good point. Yeah.
It's the worst company name ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
just to be clear on that, the super PAC that is backing Hillary Clinton, I get it. They all have this. Almost all the information is on this one database, which is also problematic, right?
Yeah.
So that's why they're paying to rent it. Not to, it's mainly for fundraising, not for necessarily access to the voters to get out the voters, et cetera, which is what the campaigns want to do. But it sets up conflicts of interest that are problematic. I mean, not only am I worried about their incompetence if they keep lifting the firewall. Look, is it fair to ask, hey, how many times are you going to make that mistake? I think that there's an excellent chance it was a mistake, but you have to wonder if it's not a mistake. So now I'm pretty sure that it's not a mistake that was meant to benefit Bernie Sanders, since he's not paying them as much money.
And you're not, of course, even mentioning the only real conflict of interest here, which I'm sure you're about to get to.
Yeah, which is that the head of the DNC, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, was campaign co-chair for Hillary Clinton in 2008. It's this conflict of interest so large that it's the elephant in the room. It swallows up everything else.
So obviously what's going on is we've been finding out throughout the day what was actually done when the firewall went down. Early on, people believed that there was just the possibility that someone had looked at the data. They're still trying to say, I don't know about the whole, we were only looking at it to see if ours was being looked at. That seems a bit questionable to me.
Can I just jump in for a second, John? I'm glad you said that. I don't want people to misinterpret what I'm saying. Is I believe everything the Sanders campaign is saying 100% without question. I don't know. So, yeah, I mean, you got to look into it to see, wait a minute, did they download anything? And there is a legitimate dispute as to whether they did. They say, no, we didn't try to download any of Hillary Clinton's information. And then the DNC says, well, we're not so sure about that. So if they've got evidence one way or another on that, of course that's relevant.
And the guy got fired.
Yeah,
right away, so indicating that from the Sanders campaign point of view, they're like, okay, even if I'm believing your story, I get it. We want entrepreneurship. We want to see some go get 'em attitude. This is when you make a phone call on.
Yeah.
Before you do that.
Yeah. And if you want to just do it to prove a point about technology, you don't do it to the front runner. You do it to O'Malley. Nobody cares if you look at O'Malley's information. It'll be perfectly fine. He doesn't even really care. He's like, oh, we have information on the DNC servers?